Hi, good day. This is Rod's Views. I haven't spoken to you in a while, and I thought maybe it's time that I have a chat with you again. I'm mostly on my blog on Facebook, which is called Rod's Views, and this is where you get thoughtful, direct, insightful, uncontaminated um, views about current affairs, especially around South Africa, and also now and then what's going on in the rest of the world. There's been lots happening over the last few months, both in our country and internationally. The GNU, um, what's going on in the USA with Trump, in Africa, and so on. And I commented on a lot of that. But as we're celebrating Human Rights Day in this year of 2025, and with all of these developments in our country, I thought it's time that I share some views. And especially after I read a very useful and on point article by a friend of mine, and he's a professor at Wits, Professor Mo Soko, on his Facebook page. Do yourself a favor and read it. It's a bit long, but read it. Take your time to read it. I call what I want to talk about the state of South Africa and the need to focus. As I said, it's a bit long. Grapple with it, discuss it, debate it, share it with your friends, and then let's see how do we take things forward. As you know, our government and political parties and all of us are grappling with the bloodied noses that South Africa has been getting more recently from the Trump administration, and our military and peacekeeping excursion in the DRC. I think that what Professor Soko shared is so on point. And I think it's something that we need to grapple with. I'll come to that a bit later, what he says. But the point that I want to make is, can our country please take a pause? Can we reset? And can we restart it with that singular objective of putting South Africa and South Africans first? And I trust that this so-called national dialogue, or as I would like to call it in others, the People's Convention, can be used to do just that. Because if we don't do that, we're going to continue to stumble from crisis to crisis, and we're going to put plasters on the sores that are appearing all over the body of South Africa. And we will go to the dogs as a country, and we will continue to have these various splinter groups emerging. The latest is this Cape First, or Cape, the succession group who want to succeed from the rest of South Africa, the Cape Advocacy Group or something. So various groups like that will emerge, and they will clamor to go to Trump and others to assist them in their reactionary causes that they are on about. And as we celebrate Human Rights Day, can we agree on the one thing that South Africa is known for, that we are admired for, and that we are respected for in our country and worldwide? We cannot flounder around like this, because surely enough must be enough. We, the people of South Africa, need to tell those in leadership, we do not want this. We want a president that is decisive. We want a wise president. And we need to reset and restart this country. Because otherwise, as I said, we are going to the dogs. And we need to be focused as a country. We need to be focused. And Moles is using what a speech that he listened to while he was at the National Council of Provinces in the 1990s as a head of policy and legislation. He attended a luncheon that was hosted by the then Deputy President Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka for the then Chinese Premier Win Jiapu. And he said, in his address, this guy said something that made a huge impression on him. He stated that China had learned that if it wanted to project foreign power, it could do so only if it was strong domestically. This guy said, you can't project foreign power if you are weak domestically. So when Mao Zedong died in 1976, as we all know, China was extremely poor and backward. Remember what we thought about the Chinese, all of those things, and how people made fun of about the Chinese and so on. But it took the bold vision of his successor, Deng Xiaoping, to set the country on the course of economic modernization and social progress. They did that relentlessly. And Deng laid the foundation for his successors, Zheng Zemin, Hu Chanchu, and now Xi Jinping, who built on that to make the country the spectacular economic and developmental success it is today. From a very indignant country in the mid-1970s, man, it's like a few years ago, China is today the second largest economy in the world. And it took 3 decades for the country's leaders to orchestrate that remarkable transformation. 3 decades. 30 years. South Africa's a 30-year democracy now this year already. And how did they do it? They were single-minded. The Chinese leaders made an explicit decision to extricate their country from unnecessary foreign entanglements. They focus on the country, not on the rest of the world. They cast a laser focus on tackling the nation's numerous social and economic problems as a way of advancing its modernization. South Africa is also facing numerous social and economic problems. As with these things are, it was not all unproblematic, and in some instances it had damaging costs, social costs. We all know about the human rights violations and all of those in China. However, it worked for the Chinese. Not only today do they have the second largest economy in the world, it also boasts the largest foreign reserves in the world. It's the biggest foreign creditor in the world. It is a formidable and sophisticated military and naval power that can take on enemies and adversaries who threaten the country's national security. How has our military been decimated in this country? It is a global technological power that has given and continues to give America, their technical companies, a run for their money. It has given them a run for their money. Everything that they do, the Chinese do better, or they send it to China for them to do it. It has implemented social policies that have taken millions of their people from poverty. And we have millions of our people in poverty and are unemployed. So these are some of the national strengths that China has intentionally built over the past decades, focused internally to make their country strong and to make things better for the people who live in their country. In so doing, the Chinese leaders have been guided by the adage. It was attributed to Deng, who said, "Hide your strength, bide your time. Do your things on the quiet and stop being so loud in the world and wanting to have a view about everything and about every other people." For the past 3 decades, in that regard, the Chinese has underplayed its strength. They just get on with it, and then suddenly we see the Chinese are the leaders in this, the leaders in that, the leaders in this, the leaders in that. Electric cars now, just watch. China is going to become the leader in that regard. And it's only now under President Xi that the country has become globally assertive and forcefully articulated its national interests. It was not surprising. Donald Trump, when he came in, was saying this one, trade tariffs, this, he's going to intervene there, and so on, etc. But the Chinese President Xi confidently declared in response to these statements by Trump that China is ready for a tariff war, a trade war, or any type of war. What happened? Trump went quiet and said Xi is his friend. He was speaking from knowing that his country is very strong domestically to take on the US and the world, and he did not need to go cap in hand to the Americans and to send envoys to go and make the case for China in America. South Africa can learn a great deal from the Chinese experience. All of our politicians and members of government go to China all the time. They've been there for years, and people even go for training. What have they learned, and have they implemented what they learned and experienced over there? As a country, we have numerous domestic problems. I don't need to repeat them here. We are weak and vulnerable domestically in this country. We are weak and vulnerable. We must thank our lucky stars that this place has not imploded already. So we are weak and vulnerable domestically. And at the same time, as Mills is saying, we are enmeshed in too many foreign entanglements. Let me say it, we have got too many diplomats all over the world, too many embassies, too many consuls. So we get entangled in these foreign issues, and some of which are questionable, and they do not serve our fundamental national interests to get involved there. In the long term, Mills argues, this situation is not sustainable. And the current state, this current impasse or disaster in our bilateral relationship with the United States, this might just be the right time for South Africa to take stock, regroup, and reset. Let me repeat, we must use this opportunity about what's going on with Trump to take stock, regroup, and reset. And I agree with Mills when he says, we cannot continue to insist on projecting foreign power when we are crippled by so many national problems. We're currently with this disaster around the SASSA gold and black cards. More than 1 million people have not even been transitioned to the new system. So the time has come for our country to prioritize, at least for the next 10 to 20 years. We got to do that. And we cannot pay lip service to it. We need to prioritize the fixing of our domestic ills. Put your political parties' hats aside, because we got numerous domestic ills. From poor public education, the health systems, the dysfunctional municipalities, the appalling public finances, our debt crisis, the widespread illegal immigration issues, and it is an immigration problem that we have in the country. I don't agree with the Hamba, whatever this Tweety Gayton is calling it, but we got to deal with this illegal immigration problem. Many countries are dealing with it. We need to deal with a massive unemployment time bomb, a runaway crime, that the police come up with plan after plan after plan, and nothing seems to change. Our decaying infrastructure, water infrastructure, sewage infrastructure, road infrastructure, transport infrastructure, train infrastructure, electricity infrastructure, all of those things. And we got to admit that we have a bloated and underperforming public service with a few exceptions of very good people. But we got too many people in that public service. I talk from experience. When I was a head of department, I had a few hundred people. No, I didn't have so many, less than 500, I think. There are more than almost over 1,000 people working in that department. And you can go on and on and on, and people get promoted and so on, and we got so many chiefs and too few Indians. Our military is hollowed out. The military chiefs talk about it all the time. And so I can go on and on and on, and we all know about it. And what is being argued is, it does not mean that we must shirk our foreign policy obligations. It means we must focus our foreign policy. It is currently unwieldy, as he argues, overstretched, and I agree, directionless. We want to be all things to all men and all women. We must only engage on those things that will best serve our fundamental national interests. And guided by these fundamental national interests, we must pick and choose what is best for South Africa and what is not. And keep our noses out of certain things that is not going to benefit ordinary South Africans and South Africa going forward. There is nothing wrong with that, and several countries are doing that. They are putting the interests of their country first and their people first, without being inward looking, without being myopic. But you got to do that. That's what we need to do. They have done that. Many countries have done that, including some Scandinavian countries that we all want to go to. We must match our foreign policy ambitions with our domestic resources. We do not have the funds to have all of these hundreds of missions all over the world and send peacekeeping missions all over where we are asked to send it to. We gotta use and build up our domestic resources and invest in our people, that our people have a better life, that our people live with more dignity, and people respect what they have. More importantly, and I underscore this and I agree with him, we must rebuild and retool our domestic capabilities to face an uncertain, volatile, and unpredictable future. So, as I said, we need to reset and we need to restart this country of ours. So, I want to make this appeal again. As we celebrate Human Rights Day, can we agree on the one thing that South Africa is known for, admired for, and respected for, both in our country and worldwide? We have to do this now, people. We have to. Otherwise, we are going to swing from side to side, not knowing what to do. And then the reactionary forces, both on the so-called left and on the right, will have a field day. And our government will veer rudderless from point to starboard. Yeah, that's a lot. Don't forget to celebrate and cherish your hard-fought human rights as we celebrate Human Rights Today. Please, as I said, reflect on this, discuss it, and put a lot of, what's the word I want to do? Put a lot of demands on our politicians to do better, whether they are at local government level, provincial government level, or national government level. And stop treating politicians like little gods, because we as taxpayers pay their salaries. And don't be disengaged. Become engaged in how we want to take South Africans forward. So salute, and please share this with as many of your friends as you feel need to hear this. This is Rod from Rod's Views.